Hello and welcome back to the Geeks Week podcast. I'm Whoosh.
I'm Paul.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Andrew.
This is part 2 of our first ever two-parter where we discuss franchises. Those things everybody likes to bitch about online, but go to Flock and see the movies or buy the games every time they come out. We lost Paul last time because he lost power. Dude, you gotta pay your bills. Come on now. And no, there was I guess, a storm or whatever nearby him, so we continued on like he would wanted, and actually texted us to do, without even recognizing he was gone.
Pretty big contributor.
So, what we did, Paul, we talked about franchises, sort of why they exist, some good examples of ones, and sort of why people seem to hate on them, and yet continue to go and consume them, regardless of the quality. Obviously that's subjective, but you can kind of assign some metrics to it. So this second part of the two-parter, we're going to talk about what our favorite franchises are, why we like them, and why we think that these ones are okay when, again, it seems to be, as a general rule, franchises are not considered good. So Paul, I guess since you weren't here last time, you can probably start off.
Why franchises aren't good?
No, your favorite. We're done with that. You missed out.
Oh.
We're done. We don't care about your opinion anymore. You can put it in the comment. You can put it on the comment section on the video.
So obviously, the biggest franchise in my life, and my all-time favorite, is the Harry Potter book series. Why? Because it's amazing.
I was just about to say why.
I don't know. I just grew up with it, and the books came out. The first one came out in like '96 or '98. It went my whole. I mean, the last one came out when I was in high school. So that's, I grew up with it, and I love the story, and I can read the books over and over and over, and watch the movies over and over and over, even the fourth one. And they're awesome.
Even the fourth one.
Even the fourth one.
Thinking about that, I mean, technically, Episode 1 of Star Wars is the fourth movie in the franchise, and that seems to be the one people hate the most. I wonder if when you're making...
That's not the worst.
Right, yeah, it's weird. But I wonder why it is with something in the middle. Like, you have the fourth Harry Potter movie, and you have the fourth Star Wars movie, and they're both kind of ubiquitously considered the worst.
Which is weird, because I feel like when you get sequels and trilogies and book series, it seems like the books are good all the way through. But if you have, a story that's only a movie, like Pirates of the Caribbean, and you get to like the fourth movie, did they even make a fourth movie? And it's garbage.
So I wonder if it's because
they've tried twice.
It's because they don't have anything to base it on. I guess I don't know, because
it might be
either way.
A character burnout. They're not using their characters right.
But I wonder.
I think Bush have said a lot about that.
But I wonder if it has to do with the fact that, like, just at least in Western media, I don't know, and I assume basically, any Westernized nation, we have this 3-act structure, and you don't even realize that when you're writing a story, that's what you're doing, but you are. It's just so ingrained in everything we consume, every TV episode, every movie, every book is just written with this 3-act structure. Not that it's bad. But I think it's just subconscious. And so when you're writing a story, you go, okay, this is Act 1, this is Act 2, this is Act 3. Okay, what happens after that? You've peaked. You've, rising action, falling action. You've already hit the peak of your story. The only thing that can happen is to go downhill. So I wonder if that's why when you hit this fourth...
I don't think that's it at all.
No? You don't?
Because each individual movie will follow the structure as well.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking...
Say with Pirates of the Caribbean, it's really a 2-part trilogy, if you will. So
yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, I wasn't involved in the writing process, but that's just what I'm thinking when I go, okay, it seems to be 4, so what's the difference between 3 and 4? Again, you don't have this,
overall arc that went out
right,
the first
and
movies.
it's something that you can't, like, you don't even know you're doing it. You'll reason it away, but it's just so ingrained into stuff. It's like people being racist. They don't know that they're racist. It's just the way they are, and they think it's okay. So I mean, I'm not trying to bring that. Huh?
Without the T.
Racists. It's hard to say. It's a terrible word. It's terrible people. I'm not trying to say that's fine or that I'm okay with them. Just
Are you? What? They're terrible people? Is that what you said?
Racists are bad people. Yes.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
So I mean, that's just thinking about that. But Andrew made a really good point. Kind of just disproved my hypothesis. So what do I know?
Also, consider the Peter Jackson Middle Earth movies. The fourth one being the first Hobbit movie. It's pretty good.
Well, but with something like that, because I think the way that
but those are based off of books, aren't they?
Right. So I
the
think
books came out after.
It's no.
Or is Peter Jackson a really old book series?
What?
Peter Jackson's alive right now.
Okay.
Not Percy Jackson. Not even Middle Earth. Okay.
Oh, I thought you said Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of that Percy.
Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I know what we're talking about.
Oh,
but the books came out first for that too.
So
Really?
But I wonder if because sort of the Hobbit was kind of written on its own, and then you had the Lord of the Rings written way later, if that's a little bit different. And you have a lot of extra. I mean, that you could turn that into probably 10 movies easy if you did everything. 10 Lord of the Rings length movies. So that's a little bit different because it's.
I like to imagine what the publisher thought when he asked Tolkien to write a sequel to The Hobbit. Like 12 years later, Lord of the Rings.
It's like a 900 and something page volume, and he's like, nope, that's 3. Because he really did not want to split that up. That was he didn't want to do that.
Right.
He also didn't like the title for the third one because he thought it gave too much away. So I don't know if he came up with the title or if he was forced to do it. But back to Harry Potter, so we can get this out of the way. So no, so you grew up with it, and that's why you like it. That's it. That's the best you can do. Use your words.
Well, no, and it's a good story. I enjoy the story. It's just like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
I grew up with it, and I'm still growing up with it, apparently. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
the next 2 or 3 years when the third one comes out.
It's supposed to come out next year.
Optimistic.
Yeah, really. Okay, so
Wow.
I guess we'll go down the line here. So who would be probably Zach.
Zach.
Well, I grew up with Nintendo, so
That's not a franchise.
no, I'm getting to that. I'm working my way up to it.
Look at his tease. He's got it. His franchise tease.
When I got the SNES, the Metroid series was probably my favorite series, and then Prime came out, and that was probably the greatest shooter until I discovered Halo. So
Wait, Amazon Prime?
no, Metroid Prime.
I know.
Yeah, you're trolling me. I mean, I got on the hype wagon when I saw that Prime 4 trailer a couple months ago. So
Teaser. Really.
whatever.
Just
I'm
showing
jonesing
logo.
for that right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
me
And Lord of the Rings. I really like Lord of the Rings. That's a really good franchise. They make decent games too. They don't make crap video game movies like a lot of other video game movies are, or movies made into video games. I mean,
How much do you think that is up to Warner Brothers actually having a pretty decent sort of game development arm, I guess you'd call it?
It's probably entirely.
well, don't they make the Batman games too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it then, because I hear
Warner
anyway
Brothers
those
owns
games are
DC.
good.
Right, because like Disney doesn't have their own game studio. Who's another? Like 20th Century Fox doesn't have their own game studio. Warner Brothers is. In fact, I think Warner Brothers might be the only one that has their own legitimate, game studio that pumps out AAA content. We'll see if Ubisoft can ever make a movie that's good. Although I guess it'll be a game development company with a movie studio. So Andrew, what's yours? Maybe we should do like this is our favorite, and then we can go and do sort of like second tier favorites, what have you.
I don't like picking favorites generally,
Pick.
but I guess for the sake of variety, because I like all the franchises we've talked about so far, except Kingdom Hearts. Never played that.
You should.
I
It's
think
fantastic.
my favorite is Halo.
So I guess what with that, because I probably have, well, I mean everybody here has quite a bit of experience with that. So what is it about Halo?
Warzone.
Well, come on, pick one.
We'll go with Halo.
Okay, so what is it about Halo versus the plethora of other first-person shooters out there that makes you continue to play it?
Well, Halo just think okay.
All right, everybody, settle in, get cozy.
Well, I think the main reason that Halo has staying power for me is it's all of the entries in it have a pretty good story. You know, some less so than others, like certain books. But overall, a rather high quality franchise. And there's a lot of content in it. Like, I don't know, how many books are there now? Like 25 or so?
I hope not that many, because I don't have that many, and I thought I had them all.
Well, I mean, you count the different separate releases.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
graphic novels and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore with Halo, and I think I think part of it, you know, it's Microsoft's big thing that they have, so they want to keep pumping stuff out for it. Which apparently that TV show is still in production or pre-production, whatever the specific term would be for it.
Pre-production don't really mean anything.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, Steven Spielberg has said that he is still working on it. So maybe after Ready Player One, which that might be a good thing for him to do, since that's literally just chock full of like pop culture references, and Halo, for a time, was probably the biggest, you know, game in you know, available, at least in Western society. So I guess it's my turn. Is it? Or are you done, Andrew? Or are you not done, I mean? Andrew?
You go ahead.
Okay. So, this actually worked out really well. Because I have a game. Well, actually, Zach said 2 games. And then we have, well, you know, you said The Lord of the Rings. So we have a game, movie, books. And now I'm going to do a TV show.
I'm pretty sure Zach meant the movie.
No, he didn't. He meant the game.
Zach's
2
I know.
Towers. It was pretty cool.
So, so mine is actually a TV show. You guys are probably going to be able to figure what this one out is. But it's definitely going to be Power Rangers. There's a couple of reasons. One, like Paul said, you know, I kind of grew up with it, and I can still watch it now. But I think there really is something kind of endearing about, especially the first few seasons. Like, it just has this 90s cheese that's never not going to be enjoyable, like 40 years from now. I mean, assuming you can find something that will play it, it's, you know, it's still going to be something worth watching. And I think it does a good job of actually teaching lessons to kids. Like, you watch a lot of kids shows now, or at least some kids shows now, and all of them are sort of like these wisecracking, like, smart asses. And I don't know if that's, I mean, not that, you know, there's anything wrong with being smart. I'm a smart ass myself. But I don't know if I'd want my 6-year-old talking like that. Whereas, you know, you watch something like Power Rangers, yes, there's violence in it, but the show does a great job of very obtusely and also subtly implying that the violence is not something you want. These people don't actively go out looking for this. This is them solving a problem with the only method they have. Oh, monsters are attacking the city. We have to beat them up. It's not like we're going to sit down at a table and negotiate. So it does a good job of saying this is not a good thing, but the only way to win this particular battle is to do that. And it's been going on they're on season 24 right now. So it's been on for a long time. It is it's aired in 170 countries and is the most popular kids show in every single country that it's aired in. So it's just ubiquitous all over the world. It you know, resonates with
That's what ubiquitous
everybody.
means.
Huh? Yeah, I know. But I'm making sure people know. Because I saw Paul looking funny. I can't see Paul, but I saw him looking funny.
I hate Power Rangers.
Well, fuck you. At least I don't hate Harry Potter.
You tolerate it.
No, I've read the books twice. I've seen the movies. Well, we
Even
saw
the 4th one.
Yep. Because I saw. I think I went and was it the second one that I went and saw in theaters, and then the third one I remember seeing on TV. I'm like, wait, that's weird. They wear clothes now, not their
Yeah,
outfits.
that was that.
Alfonso
what's that
Cuarón.
Yeah, I think that was somewhat his idea, and then it stuck. Well, no, when David Yates came in, they did start wearing their uniforms more, but then there still were a lot of scenes in clothes.
Because the sex appeal, Emma Watson, it's fine.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So I guess, Paul, what's your next one? Maybe try to pick not a book or movie series, or like something, just to get some variety.
I mentioned Kingdom Hearts. And even that one, I mean, I love the story. I just haven't played all of the games because they're on so many different consoles and handhelds. Shoot. I mean, another book series I enjoy. I've only read it once, I think. Series of Unfortunate Events. I've been wanting to read it again, and I started to. I just never finished.
Now, isn't there a Netflix series, or did they only do one season of that?
They did one season, but as far as I know, they've been making the second one.
Okay, because I thought it was supposed to be like the encompass all. Because isn't there like 12 or 13 books? I think
13.
13.
It's so unfortunate.
Yep.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No.
it's a good book series.
I think I've read some of those too. I feel like a lot of the books I read when I was younger were actually my brother's, because the Harry Potter books were his, and then the Series of Unfortunate Events were his. So the only thing I had basically at that time would have been Halo.
I guess TV show wise. Well, no, this is a series, not a franchise.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, really.
No,
as long
it's
as
just seasons. Well, you said Power Rangers. I was gonna say Game of Thrones.
Oh, come on, dude. That's cheating. Everybody likes that.
I know, everybody loves Game of Thrones. Yeah, I don't know. I had something in mind and I can't think of it now. So come back to me.
Okay.
I
So
cannot
Zach.
think of it.
Well, I was kind of a casual fan of this franchise growing up, but then I don't know, 2011, I think, the 007 franchise I really got into when Daniel Craig took over. That when it got more serious, I think it took itself more seriously after he became Bond, and
Well, it
yeah,
could be the humor too.
yeah,
Like, they found other things more humorous back in the.
they did.
They changed it because of Austin Powers. Like,
They
for
took it
real.
over the top.
I think
Well,
they
yeah.
did Jason
Well,
Bourne.
even Pierce Brosnan was like weirdly over the top, and I think they were trying to be a somewhat serious series
but
at the time.
If you watch other '90s movies, I think that was.
There's
It was just the culture. Back
it was
then.
it was just the 90s back then. Yeah, that's
It
was
was a
certainly-
very
It was pretty
odd,
down to earth.
a very odd time for film. You have to admit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it does a good job of a spy movie. I mean, it's
Daniel Craig's a badass.
but he just doesn't want to do it again, even though they offered him a ton of money, which I'm bummed about. But
Wasn't it like $100 million?
plus producer credits, 150 million, I
Christ.
think.
Why would you turn
Right.
that down?
I
Because he
mean,
wants to play a hillbilly in Logan Lucky.
but I mean, at some point you get to the point where you have so much money, like it just stops being worth it if you're not going to enjoy
I
it.
guess.
Like if I won the lottery, I'm not going to go to work anymore. What's the point?
Well, you don't like your job.
But Andrew, if you won the lottery, don't tell me you would still go to work.
I don't like my job either. Not that much.
You don't like your job?
It's,
We'd podcast
Or
full
the money
time.
work,
I
Give
mean,
you money. Right. Okay, so I remembered one of mine.
Okay.
It's kind of cheap again, like Game of Thrones. Not as cheap, but so this one's it's been going on, I think, since I was like in 8th grade, and it's still going on now, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, look at you picking what is everybody's probably favorite.
Now, what's my favorite maybe movie within that? See, now this is
This is the
This is
epitome
where-
of a franchise, by the way. The
Franchise-
absolute.
because they're not like each movie's not a direct sequel. Like Iron Man isn't a sequel, or the Hulk isn't a sequel to Iron Man, but then Iron Man 2 is a sequel
To the Hulk.
And so you kind of see the trend if it actually is a sequel, like Thor 2, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, where the sequels are usually worse than the first movie.
Unless you're Captain America.
But then overall, all the movies are good. You know, with but then they're still part of the same franchise too.
I think Thor 2 is the lowest rated one and has a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, which you go, oh, that's bad. But you think about what they got, 13 or 14 movies now, and that's the worst by a pretty wide margin. I mean, most sit in the 80s, or there's a couple in the 90s. So that's absurd to be pumping out.
I think Thor 2 is a lot better than Thor 1.
See, and I feel like people rag on the Thor movies way more than they should. He's
Ragnarok on it.
He's my certainly my yeah. Come on. That's almost as good as my hound memes I had earlier.
Oh yeah.
I think that with superhero movies, the origin is usually the best story that they have.
And yet, I would
That's why
say
the first is the best for a lot of them. Personally, that's my opinion.
But I don't know. I mean, Thor is better, but I don't know if it's because it's his origin story. Iron Man 1 is better because, I mean, the other two movies have been mad.
Whole damn thing.
Right, there's that too. And I mean, Captain America: First Avenger is the worst Cap movie for sure. Obviously, it's kind of hard to point to other movies because we don't really have the origin for, well, we kind of saw Black Panther's origin, but in Civil War, but it wasn't really about him.
Right.
We'll see what happens with his sequel. Now, what I've been hearing from people who have seen, early test screens and stuff, they're just absolutely raving about it. So Black Panther.
Think that close to finished?
Well, I think it's at the point now where they have like the test screenings, going on.
They have the guy, the guy doing the music score. He gets to watch the movie.
Right. They have sort of the basic structures done. Now, what a lot of it's going to be is they test audience and we need to tweak this scene here, add something to explain this because audiences didn't understand this scene. But as far as I know, it would basically be complete.
It should be just about. It should be done.
There's got to be some term for that when you have
close.
like plot complete, and then it just becomes,
Well, for games to say it goes gold.
Well,
right.
Goes into post production.
Well, but I mean, even that's probably getting
done.
pretty close to being done too. It's probably a lot of the bigger special effect shots and whatnot, but overall, the structure of the story is there. Because it comes out in February, so it's 3 months after Thor. Not even 3 full months, so.
Well, we're gonna get Thor, that, and then
Infinity War!
All within like a reasonable amount of time.
6 months, November
That's
to May.
Insane.
Oh, I can't take it. Right. Paul. We did Paul, Zach, Andrew. What's your? You said Zelda before.
Your runner-up.
Legend of Zelda. Sure.
Wonderful, wonderful franchise.
So.
Yes.
What my question is though, and that's fine the way that it was set up, with whatever back in the past. But in modern times, don't you think it would be cool if Zelda was a girl? I'm kidding. I know Zelda's a girl, and Link is the guy you play as.
Because we told you yesterday.
You didn't tell me.
Good thing we prepped you.
I've played Zelda before. Thank you very much.
Actually, the first Zelda game I played didn't even have Zelda in it. It was Majora's Mask.
The first one.
Yeah, that kind of confused me.
Was Twilight Princess, which is probably why it's my favorite Zelda game.
Even though it's one of the worst.
Skyward Sword is leagues.
Skyward Sword is
worse. I never got past the first town. Honestly, I never beat it. Skyward Sword, that is.
I never even got the disc out of the tray. Right, the case.
Well, you never even. Did you even own?
You don't have a console to play it on.
My brother did.
Oh.
And he never used
Twilight
the
Princess. Thing. I liked it. It was a good game. But then after playing halfway through, I've only made it to the caves in the desert in not Majora's Mask. Ocarina of Time.
Spoilers, dude! It ruined it. The whole franchise is dead now. Might as well not even bother.
You know what Gerudo Village?
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, I've been there before. Oh, I
like
hate
the
that
jail
town.
cells.
Oh,
It's really
God.
They have the best music ever.
I thought the music was terrible. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Everyone knows the. I shouldn't say everyone. But the Gerudo Village music is. Or is it Gerudo Fortress? Either way, it's very famous track.
Very famous. Like how famous?
Like,
very.
Oh, very famous.
Yes.
like if you look at an Overclocked remix, it's one. It's I think either the first or second most remixed track.
That's cool that people like to steal it.
But the Lost Woods is good music too. But that's maybe just more catchy because it's repetitive.
It is more recognizable.
Yeah.
The other one just has a better melody to it for musicians' sake, I guess. Or whatever.
And,
Or whatever.
let's see. Another great Zelda games are the Oracle games on Game Boy.
Mm. I had a Game Boy.
Yeah, but you didn't have that.
Nope. In fact, the only games I had for it were Pokemon, which has got to be my second favorite. The very first video game I ever owned was Pokemon Silver. I still think... Well, I mean, I guess you could argue Soul Silver might be better, but I think certainly Pokemon Gold and Silver are literally peak video games. Like, I don't know if I've ever played a game that's a... Some have gotten close, but I don't know if any has surpassed Pokemon Silver. Oblivion would have gotten close to it, but I don't think it did. But I think with that, that's, you know, and I feel like a lot of stuff we're bringing up seems to have sort of this childhood connection, which nostalgia is a powerful drug. Right. So, and I mean, that would have been, what was that, like 5 or 6 when that came out? Something might even been a little bit younger. But I think there's something about this, it's just, I mean, people always talk about it's easy to learn, hard to master, but I think Pokemon is really the true embodiment of that. Because the concept is stupidly simple. But
then to be technical and...
Well, and even the more modern
Smart
games is they've added, and honestly, I think they're getting to the point where there's too many layers now because you have like their EV stats or IV stats, whatever it's called, and breeding and stuff. So I think they might be getting a little bit too much, you know, sort of too many layers involved to keep track of. Particularly again because the target audience is supposed to be children. But I think
maybe the Switch game will have an easier way to manage all these systems.
Yeah, but it's just I think you know you get like okay you have your Pokemon and they have their stats, but then you have types, and then the type of attacks matter versus who they're fighting, and then you sort of add in a couple other layers, and I think you start adding more in than that, and it's like okay well my again I don't know if it's EV or IV I forget the exact term is blank for this well.
I think it's both.
Oh, you're right. There is both. So yeah, you're now you got 2 more things you gotta keep track of, and how they interplay with literally everything else. And you just, you know, it just becomes more and more complex the more you add to
Effort
it.
values aren't a big deal unless you try to get serious. So.
Well, that's and right, and that's what I mean. Like again, you know, easy to learn, hard to master. I mean, you have to basically dedicate your life to this to get perfect Pokemon and perfect breeding and stuff. But you're right. Just as like a general player playing the game, particularly
just playing the story, the newer game is stupidly easy.
Oh yeah, well, and I was playing Y, and I think because I played up through Fire Red and Leaf Green, and that's when I kind of fell off, and I got back into oh what was it Black and no it was Diamond and Pearl, and that's when
Platinum.
Yeah, Platinum is the one I got, and that's when I got back into playing the games, and I think they kind of figured out that because their goal is, you know, complete the Pokedex. Like, there was, in X or Y, isn't there something like 700?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think they kind of figured out, maybe we should make this a little bit more focused on catching them and not this, you know, these, like you said, they're retarded leads. And they are. You just stomp everything. So I wonder if they kind of figured out, okay, maybe we shouldn't make this so hard and people
Well,
have
for the first few, probably Ruby, Sapphire, probably the first 4 generations or 5.
Ruby, Sapphire,
you would buy all the versions. Like,
Yep.
You would buy Ruby and Sapphire, and
Yep, I did
Like
that.
I know I would do that, and then I had a Game Boy Advance and a Game Boy Advance SP, and I would trade with
Yep.
myself, and
Yep. Oh man.
like that's crazy.
Forever alone.
Luckily, I had a brother.
Yeah, you had a brother that actually played that shit.
So, my favorite class-based loot system RPG shooter is definitely Borderlands.
That's oddly specific. I knew you were gonna say Borderlands.
No, but for real, Borderlands is also up there on my list of franchises. Just because they got the they did what Destiny didn't quite do, and they made a loot system that was just favorable enough to make you want to go get more guns.
So it was all about that grind.
Yeah, but I actually had fun getting new guns in Borderlands. In Destiny, I felt like I got shit every time.
I
Well, yeah,
wonder.
'cause in Destiny, you have to, once you get, end game content, basically to buy the guns.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're not worth getting. Kind of raids, I guess.
Yeah, they really they messed that up a bit with Destiny. But yeah, Borderlands is I think fantastic. I remember I don't even like that's one of those things like I wish I could go back and see what exactly was going on and how I even found out about that game because I didn't get it at launch. And I don't know if Zach, if you would have told me about it.
You showed it to me.
Was it? Okay, so then someone else
Yeah.
must have shown it to me. And
one
I remember
one of your other friends
Yeah.
let you borrow it or something, and I played it, and I was like, "Yeah, this is a pretty kick-ass game."
And I remember we played it quite a bit up because I remember I only beat it like twice, I think. And then I was super hyped for the second one, and then I don't know what it was if that was sort of like a turning point in my life, because it feels like at that point I sort of was less devoted to certain games and I played way more. It might be because I started getting disposable income, work, school, stuff like that started happening where I was, when I was in high school, in grade school, it was Halo and Oblivion, and that's it. I didn't play anything else. A little bit of Mass Effect, throw some Assassin's Creed. And that's it. Now it's like, I played 15 games today. There's just something about the second one. But yeah, we've tried to go back and play that, and either Paul or Zach isn't online when we want to. Way to go, guys. Oh yeah, that slight little laugh, I'm blaming you.
I think it was one of the first games I played where I saw like class-based shooting, and now I'm burned out of that shit now.
But you got Battlefront 2 coming out.
Yeah, that looks cool though. I mean, I'll get
Star
Borderlands
Wars.
3, I'm sure, but
I'm
I haven't
surprised
even
that
done the
Alex
DLC
said
in
that's
Borderlands 2 yet.
That's something.
Almost.
Maybe that's
That
something.
badass crater.
Maybe that's something we could do for the channel is do like a 4-player thing and maybe do Borderlands. I know we talked about this a little bit or doing something like Diablo, but we all own Borderlands. That's something that could work. Right?
Right.
It's true.
Paul didn't say anything. Paul doesn't want to do it. Paul doesn't want to commit to anything.
What's that?
He'll get a loan for a house. He'll get a loan for a house, which is, committing for what, probably 30 years of your life, but you can't commit to an afternoon once a week with your bros.
To play what? Borderlands? Sorry, I'm playing Portal.
Which one? 1 or 2?
1.
Big one.
I've already played 2. I've never played 1.
That's backwards.
Yeah, I know. I'm bass backwards.
You can't swear on this channel. Jesus Christ. So Andrew, no wait, is it Paul's turn again, or is it no? Because I already did Pokemon's acted one, so I think it is Paul's. Is it gonna be Portal?
No.
Obviously, not. I didn't play it.
Because remember, it's franchise. You can't just say, "Oh, well, I really like this one game."
Oh, what's another franchise I like?
The
And
Portal
not-
games are quite good, but that was
not
never
Taco
like a
Bell.
third game.
Isn't that 4 series now that they have that stop at 2? Team Fortress, Half-Life, Portal, Left 4 Dead,
Dota.
Dota.
More
Christ.
like don't make a trilogy.
They have a huge tournament
Well,
going
I
on
mean-
right now.
Why would you make a sequel to Dota?
I'm not saying to Dota. I mean to any Valve games. No, thinking of movies again, because that's what I got my brain on for some reason. I really like the Scream movies. You know,
Yeah.
even though they are, you know, maybe it went on too far. I think there's 4 movies.
And there's a TV show on Netflix which is supposed to be quite good as well. I think it's a Netflix
yeah, it's
exclusive.
from. It was no, it aired on MTV, I believe. But it's good.
MTV, no.
No, it's not like Teen Wolf or whatever's on MTV. It's good. Ashley and I watched them all.
Who's
So
Ashley?
yeah, Screams. She's the one keeping me from playing Borderlands.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, yeah, the Scream's good. We talked about this earlier too. Red Dead Redemption is technically a franchise because of Red Dead Revolver, but I'm mostly looking towards Red Dead Redemption 2, which, you know, for the reason why I call it a franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
But
basically,
that's,
once you have a sequel, it kind of counts. Particularly if there's sort of, expanded universe stuff or hints of a third one sort of on the horizon.
Red Dead Revolver is just part of the franchise. It's not really part of any storyline or I mean, maybe it's like canon with the world in Red Dead Redemption. I don't really know. If it is, it's like not really out
Canon
there.
with the world.
Whatever.
True to life. I'm trying to think of a word.
No, with Red Dead Redemption's world, with their universe, because it's a franchise. Because it could be a franchise, but maybe they're not related. You know.
Yeah.
Like American Horror Story, I guess. Or what's another one?
Well, no,
I don't know.
actually, those
Final Fantasy.
are connected, just not in the order. They're the overall timeline for American Horror Story, which is actually good too. It's not my favorite, but it's good. Every season is connected. They just take spots in different parts of this one timeline.
So are the
So
subsequent
chronologically, they're showed out of order.
are the subsequent seasons as good as season 1? Because what I heard was season 1 was great, and the other ones are just kind of okay.
I mean, I watched 3/4 of Hotel, and it was okay. Coven's good. I don't really remember any of the circus one's pretty good. It's decent. It's been so long since I've seen the first one, though. I don't remember how good it was.
Because I watched it, I think it was like last year. I watched it all, and I'm not really into horror at all, and I thought it was pretty good. It was weird because they had who's the guy that plays Zachary Quinto? It was weird to see him in it and playing a game. I'm like, I couldn't get away from that Spock, so I kind
I
of
always
laughed.
see him as that. Didn't he play in Heroes?
He might have. I've never seen that
Wasn't he
either.
the villain?
Maybe. Spoilers, dude.
Oh, I just put that together that he was Spock.
What? He was the guy that could. He was the guy in Heroes that could like eat breeds or something and take their
He
powers.
absorbed their power. Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Oh,
Spoilers,
Asylum
right?
was good. Season 2 was Asylum. That was pretty good. Coven was good. Freak Show was okay. Hotel was eh. And then there's 2 more called Roanoke. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. And then Cult. I have not seen either of those.
I have to check them out and see. But yeah, it's like I'm
But
not
they've been
big into horror
renewed
at
for
all.
an 8th and 9th season.
FX has been pumping out some good stuff lately. I mean, really,
That's
basically
not
every.
Netflix exclusive.
No, I said
That's,
FX, like Foxtrot
FX.
X-Ray.
Okay.
Because they have, well, I mean, they still do Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They have that.
Great comedy.
Yep, they have that X-Men show Legion, I think it's called.
Well, they
That's
got a new
supposed
one,
to do
too.
good. And then what was the other show on there that's supposed to be quite good as well? But anyway, so yeah, I mean, really, all TV channels seem to be producing really great content, but FX
No.
and I said seemingly all. I didn't mean literally every single channel. I'm sure
FX, AMC.
TV's just getting better production value.
Well, I think, and I think it's because now you can do almost movie level special effects. I mean, look at Game of Thrones. That's basically a movie. I mean,
they did Wilfred. That was a pretty good comedy.
Yeah, Wilfred. Wilfred is good. I mean, it's not like I don't think that was that expensive of a show. It's a dude in a dog suit.
I'm just saying it's good. Yeah. The League too. That's good. I hear.
Yeah. So it's we're sort of in a TV renaissance, and I feel like that's something we talked about before. But it's, I mean, a lot of these things that we've been bringing up are TV shows or have TV show aspects.
People kind of prefer to binge now than go to the movies a lot of the time.
Well, and that's certainly because of the price of movie tickets. I mean, Netflix is $8 per month.
Even that's less than one movie.
Right, usually, even in a small town. Like where we live, a small town, $8. Okay, you go to any other decent-sized town, you're looking at $15. And that's just one that's...
Don't go to a 4D theater. We went and saw Beauty and the Beast in a 4D theater in Florida, and our no food, 2 tickets was $45.
Doesn't surprise me in one at all.
I mean, it was an interesting experience. It actually snowed in the movie theater, but it's not worth seeing every movie for $45.
If you won the lottery, you could.
Or if I was Daniel Craig and got $150 million to... I can turn down comfortably $150 million.
Fuck off. Bullshit. So is it... Whose turn is it now to go? To pick their favorite? I just want to point out, like, this... When we do these podcast things, like, literally all we do is we're going to talk about this thing, and that's it. The rest of this is just totally off the cuff. No script. There's no planning for any of this. This is just totally... just made up essentially on the fly.
Preparation is a word we've heard of, but
well, I think
practice.
And it's something that maybe we could do. I think the issue with it is, one, it doesn't feel as natural. I mean, you're never going to be able to write a script that feels like just 4 dudes talking, which is what we wanted this to be. And I think because we kind of stray from the script a lot, just because that's life, that's what happens in the everyday.
Kind of like what you're doing now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it for a reason. I'm not just doing it because my brain wanders. It had a point to it. So it's like no one said, okay, I'm going to talk about these things, and someone else said, I'm going to talk about these. No, this is... I knew Paul was going to bring up Harry Potter, and I figured Zach would bring up Zelda. That's all I knew. None of this was, I'll say this when Andrew says that.
I'm surprised no one brought up Star Wars yet.
I was literally gonna... Paul, you don't have the right.
No, just to inquire why nobody brought up
I was gonna bring it up. I think... I don't know if it's my turn. We'll wait. Someone, don't bring up Star Wars, whoever you are, unless it is my turn. Fuck it, it's my turn. Star Wars. So I think this one, I mean, there's... I don't know how to really say anything about it. I mean, the first movie that I remember seeing in theaters was Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. That probably helps in me not raging on the prequels as much as it seems like a lot of other people do. I remember going back to my grandparents' house after seeing that. I would have been, 5 maybe? Something like that. And I unrolled a bunch of Christmas paper and colored the tube red, and then my brother had a green one, and we beat them until they broke, and we did it again. I'm sure we got in a lot of trouble for that, but I don't remember the trouble we had. I remember the fun. And so, I mean, that's something that, again, I've grown up with. It's been there since the beginning. I went and saw Star Wars Episode 3, and I remember tearing up a bit because I thought, oh my god, this is going to be the last one. And fortunately now it's not. But it was this, really deep emotional investment because really, I think Star Wars Episode 4 might be just the perfect movie, especially when it comes to an introduction, but just as a movie overall, because it doesn't tell you anything you don't need. There's all this stuff that hints at this bigger world, but you never get any details, where, lines like, well, the regional governors will keep the systems in line, and that phrase is never uttered again at all in the entire series. But because it's said once, it's there.
Well, there is a regional governor in the Grand Moff Tarkin is a regional governor.
Well, but what I'm saying is, I mean, but this stuff is never directly stated to the audience. You know, this is a lot of stuff where it's, okay, you need to be told this. We're never told how hyperspace works. We just know it does. We don't need to know that it works. We just need to know, or how it works. We just need to know that it does. That it's this way to get out of a jam, unless you're Han Solo in Episode 5. And then, of course, again, they're building off of that. But it doesn't waste time bogging you down in technical details or anything like that. It's the most basic story you can possibly tell. A hero's journey, rescue the princess. But it's in space. And, I mean, obviously you have some movies that are better than others. Episode 5 probably being the best film ever made. And then you have ones like Attack of the Clones. Although... I mean, that's the worst Star Wars movie, probably. I remember Paul was watching...
It's alright, except for when it gets bogged down in Anakin Padme romance.
Just, I wish, and I think this is kind of something that I wish George sort of would have recognized, is the guys are great ideas, man, but when it comes to actually writing dialogue, no. I mean, it's not like the original trilogy is known for its deep dialogue. The only line people remember are, "No, I'm your father," and they misquote that. And Han Solo saying...
Situation normal.
Well, that's
us. Though.
That's us. How are you? It's very, very, very big reactor week. Very large. Very dangerous. And then Han Solo... And then Han Solo saying, "I know," when Leia says, "I love you," like that. And that's not even scripted, you know, that wasn't written. And George didn't direct that. I think he just has sort of like the story credit. I don't even know if he has a credit for the script. He might. But he was not hands off, obviously, but he was much less involved in the actual day-to-day making of the film than he was for even Episode 4, and then, of course, 1, 2, and 3. But I don't think, you know, his dialogue is kind of eh. But you're right, that's easily the worst part of the Star Wars franchise at any point is, "I wish I could wish away my feelings." That's the best you got.
Hate sand.
I hate that meme. It's coarse and it's rough and it comes up everywhere. But I mean, it's, and oh man, when Disney bought them and they're making more, like, I think Episode 7 was good. Obviously, I don't think it's great, but it hits all the right buttons, and I really don't care if it's a rehash of Episode 4, because guess what? So is Episode 6. Blow up the Death Star. At least this was bigger. And, of course, we have great characters in Rey and Finn, and I actually really liked Kylo Ren as well. I thought he was a really cool character.
Even when his face was revealed.
Really sad fact. One of the most popular baby names was Kylo.
Yep.
Like last year.
Yep.
Kylo's not even a name. It's a title.
I thought it was
like
sort of...
It's like the freaking idiots in even Gerald Khaleesi.
Yeah. Well, that's the and you know, speaking of that, because I do watch. Well, I've a fair number of my family members hooked on Game of Thrones, but I actually do watch it with my mom, and basically every episode is sort of like trying to give a recap of the whole series. Anytime any character pops up on the screen for the first time. So, like, the first half hour of the episode is, oh, well, that guy did this, and that's this, and then it's the next scene, and I gotta start all over again with all these new people. Oh, okay, well, I'll remember. And next time, same shit. It's like, oh, that actor plays this person. And it's like, I know everything about them. Blood type, grower, shower, are the boobs fake or real? I'm kidding, I don't know that kind of stuff.
So speaking of Star Wars, we should have a trailer soon, I would think.
Well, we did for...
Last Jedi?
We already have, like, the teaser.
But I mean a full-blown trailer, because it comes out in December.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 8.
Yep. I wonder what's gonna happen, though, if why they're pumping out these episodes so fast. Like, we had episode...
It took 2 years.
Well, they originally took 3, and then Episode 9 comes out in May of 2019, so that's only a year and a half later.
There's money to be made, Wish.
Right, but what I'm saying... Okay, so then what do you do after Episode 9? Episode 10, 11, 12?
Yeah.
I think they'll have a bit of a break, though, before the next trilogy, and
maybe they'll
do a couple
focus
of
on
solo
anthology
films.
Well, and that's what I wondered. I kind of figured when they announced this, and then we kind of figured out that they'd have those anthology movies. I thought there'd be main, series, two anthology, main series, two anthology, main series, and then you'd have what, 6 or 7 movies? Without it feeling, like you're getting them way too fast. And I don't necessarily think the quality of the films are going to decrease because they're being turned out so fast. Because obviously, I mean, they can film these things back to back, like they're doing with Infinity War, for example, or with Pirates of the Caribbean.
I mean, multiple production teams. You can
right.
You can make plenty of movies a year.
Right. But I just wonder. Okay, is there going to be some, maybe story issue where normally you'd have more time to figure out a way to make it work, whereas now you got to cram this thing out.
I think it'd be easier if they just made more solo films that were spaced out and spaced in the timeline of Star Wars so much that they don't really affect each other. That would help with reducing the amount
right,
of plot hole problems.
And it's kind of funny because Disney doesn't have anywhere was it branded that The Force Awakens was Episode 7. It's just called Episode 7. So, or not Episode 7, it's just called Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So
in the opening scroll.
Right, but other than that, I mean, when they show trailers on the Blu-ray cover for it, it doesn't say Episode 7 like the previous movies did. And I wonder if it's because they're afraid of people seeing the number 7 and going, I don't want to see that because I haven't seen the other 6. It's Star Wars. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You've seen them. I guarantee it somewhere, somehow. You've seen them. But, and so I think that I don't know if they recognize Star Wars as being like its own brand. Like, you slap Star Wars on something, it's going to sell. So they could do, like you said, those solo movies.
I should think they do. How much did they spend on it? Like $2 billion?
$4 billion. 4 point something billion.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of money.
Right, but what I'm saying is they don't seem to go, okay, well, I mean, every movie they've put out, even this Han Solo solo movie, it's characters we already know. I mean, yes, Rogue One had new characters, but it was in a timeline that we were familiar with, aka right before Episode 4. So, like, with Zach saying, they could go 2,000 years in the past, and there's a lot of canon that they can sort of pick and choose and say, okay, this is, part of it.
Throw out.
Right, yeah. So it's, and I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're afraid, and that's kind of sad because Star Wars has just, I mean, it probably is the biggest universe. Maybe Warhammer might have a bit more, lore just overall, but Star Wars is Star Wars is definitely up there as one of the biggest universes, fiction-wise, that exists. And it feels like they're going to stick to this, what would it be now, like 50-ish year period out of the thousands of years that you have.
I just really want to see young Yoda. That's all I want out of these solo films.
Well, I would like to see sort of, I mean, I know we've seen sort of the Jedi at their, when they were a fully functioning thing, but I'd like to see them really at their peak, when they not when they're fighting this sort of BS war that they don't want to, but when they're fighting dozens, hundreds of Sith, thousands of Sith, where all the battles are a Jedi versus a Sith, lightsaber, just crazy type shit. That's something.
Oh, that's the Old Republic stuff?
Yeah, stuff like that, where there's
Sith War?
Yes, where there's thousands of Sith Lords and thousands of Jedi, and that's the whole movies is just them. I mean, obviously I'd want some plot, but
I mean, there hasn't been a full-scale war since the formation of the Republic.
Right.
Which formation?
That guy with the tall head said.
The guy with the tall head?
The Jedi Master who sits next to Yoda.
Coyote Mundi?
Yeah.
Why don't you know this? Paul, I understand.
Thank you.
But Zach, no. You don't know his...
I know Kit Fisto.
Do you know Kylo Ren?
Yeah, Ben Solo, aka.
Oh, spoilers much?
This movie's like, what, 2 years old?
Almost, yeah.
That don't count.
Like, I can just picture Paul going, why has no one brought up Star Wars? Are they waiting for me?
No.
But that's another one that, I wouldn't mind if we got together sometime and watched it all. When Game of Thrones is done, we'll have to plan like a 3 or 4 day weekend to watch that.
Okay.
Because I would.
Well, finishing off last one for me.
Huh?
I'm not as big a fan as like some people are.
Game of
I
Thrones?
mostly just read the books. It's Warhammer 40,000.
Oh yeah. See, now that's one, and it's funny because every time I go into Barnes and Nobles, I basically just go to the science fiction section, because what else really matters? And and there's a huge, not huge, but several rows of Warhammer 40k, and I go, where's number 1? I see. Okay, 40k.
There isn't one.
So is there like a good place to get into it? Does it not matter?
That's like my issue with Marvel Comics.
I would recommend Gaunt's Ghost as a good starting point.
Okay.
Because a lot of Warhammer books are about like space marines and stuff, and there's like superhumans and fighting godly entities.
Well, that's
Kind
fine.
of crazy. But Gaunt's Ghost is like about people, regular humans in the Imperial Guard.
So Paul, with the Marvel Comics, that's something that kept me away too. What I did was when I had Marvel Unlimited, I actually might be subscribing to that again here shortly. Is I just went. Well, actually, I went and read the original Captain America comics from the 40s. It's Batman and Robin, basically. No, really, it is. Like he doesn't throw a shield. He's not even super strong. He just happens to be a private in the army who puts on a mask. And Bucky's a little kid, and it's weird that there's this kid who's fighting a war in Europe. I thought that was really odd. But what I did was... Huh?
That war.
Right.
Not too uncommon earlier.
Right. Modern war. So what I did was, I went and I started with the Silver Age, where Earth 616 starts. That would be Fantastic Four, number 1. I think it was published in 1961. And I just read, in order, all of those comics up through, I think I was up to like 68 or probably 67 or 68, because there really isn't a whole lot in the beginning, because Fantastic Four is by themselves and they're only like 20 pages long, and it's a comic, so they don't take that long to read. And then you have Journey into Mystery, which was Thor, and then you had Tales of Adventure, I think is what it was called, and that was Iron Man. And then after like a year or so of that, and then they had the Hulk. I think Hulk was like the back half of the Iron Man one. So I mean, they're not that long of stories. You could pound out, I mean, in an hour, 5 or 6 of them easy.
When's Tales to Astonish?
Yes, thank you. That's Ant-Man. Yes, thank you. Tales to Astonish is Ant-Man. And then you have Amazing Fantasy, which is where Spider-Man got introduced. That wasn't right away. That was in like 62 or 63. And it's funny because they started X-Men, and there was an end of one comic, and Stan Lee was like, oh, we have this great thing coming out next month called the X-Men. We really think you guys are going to like it. That's going to be a huge part of our comics, and I mean, it probably is the biggest that they have. At least before the Marvel Cinematic Universe came out. Spider-Man and X-Men were, sort of their peak properties. And I just thought that was funny that they knew, or, like they knew.
It's kind of hard to think of Iron Man as like a B character, isn't he?
It is, but he was. He really was. It really was strange, because you're right. And I think what it has to do with is, if you look at the other popular ones, Fantastic Four is a group of 4 people, and they're basically a family, so you have all that sort of drama in there. And I don't mean like these are really dramatic, but you have this, what was it that I read somewhere? Marvel comics are about regular people being gods. DC is about gods trying to be regular people. Like, you have just these regular folks, and now they have superpowers. They still get sick. Some of them are still in school. Some of them are getting married. Some of them don't know how to talk to girls because they're Peter Parker. So they have all these problems that a person can say, oh, I get that. Wow, it would be cool.
It's relatable.
Right, it would be cool. I mean, what's relatable to Superman? How do you relate to him? He can't lose.
He has a mother.
Well, wow, okay. His name's Martha. Batman's super rich. I don't even really know any of the other ones. Wonder Woman is a princess, goddess, Amazonian warrior chick. So it's
Aquaman kind of is too.
right.
But
So, but it is scary to get into, because I'm one of those people who I want everything from the beginning. I don't care if it really matters or not. I want to start where the story started, and that's fantastic.
I know that's my problem.
But that's where you start. I mean, they're funny. There's all kinds of, they're really funny a lot of times because they have a narrator, so the narrator can kind of say stuff to the audience. Because it wasn't actually Ben Parker that said, with great power. That was actually just the narrator. And obviously you don't really have a narrator in movies, so that's kind of why it's been changed.
Depends on the movie.
Right, but traditionally you don't have a narrator in the movie. I mean, how weird would that be if you're watching Spider-Man and all of a sudden you have some guy, never heard his voice says, and that's when Peter Parker learned that with great power comes great responsibility. Doesn't have the same impact.
Scott Pilgrim.
Right.
Well,
But Scott Pilgrim is a comedy. Right, yeah, it's a little bit different. And it happens.
Tarantino movie.
You're just providing exceptions that prove the rule.
Yeah. It was pretty weird. Was it Hateful Eight? Where it's not as an intermission with a narrator.
That wasn't weird. It was dumb. He shouldn't have done that.
Isn't it?
I liked the rest of the movie besides that part.
Yeah, I know.
I have not seen that yet, so.
It's pretty good. Except for that part.
Besides that part.
All right, so I think we've hit sort of all of our major franchises that we enjoy. Some of them suck. Harry Potter. The rest of them are great. So I'm just kidding. Harry Potter's totally fine.
Pretty good, even.
Only the fourth one's questionable. It's
Well,
not
most
that it's a
good.
terrible.
Did you put your name into the fire of Goblet, Harry?
I was about to fucking punch him right in the face. No, it's the Goblet of Fire is one of the best books. Like it's.
That's when
ar-
shit starts
arguments
getting
can be
real.
made.
That's
Yeah,
when shit
arguments
gets
can be
real.
made. And it's not just the ending when Voldemort comes.
Well, no, but yeah.
I mean, the whole book's just full of just interesting, fun adventure. Whatever. And then the old fucking, I can't remember his name now, director, and then whoever else, the screenplay writers, and I mean I know they had to shorten it because it's one of the longest books. They had to shorten it to fit it into a movie, and they actually considered doing the Goblet of Fire as 2 parts, like they did with the Deathly Hallows.
That might have been good.
Yeah.
But they just, for one of the best books, it's the worst movie.
I don't know where they split it though.
I don't know.
Right when Gandalf turns to him to say, Harry, did you? And then it stops. And then the next year you get to throw your name into the Goblet of Fire.
That's like 25 minutes into the movie.
Oh. Well, it's been a while since I've seen it, so.
Maybe the one with the dragon?
Somewhere after the first task, like before the second task.
And then in the post-credit scene, it shows Daenerys coming down the dragon.
Yeah. Dracarys.
Dracarys.
So, we've obviously been trying to avoid Game of Thrones spoilers, so we'll be careful of that. We will be doing what I'm assuming is going to be like a 2-parter, maybe even a 3-parter. Once that's done, there's 3 more episodes left, so we have 3 more weeks from now, and then we'll do. Again, it's going to be at least 2 parts talking about it. I wouldn't be surprised if it spills over into a 3rd. And we'll try to do those a little bit quicker. Maybe not necessarily wait a whole week. Like, maybe pump on a little bit faster to kind of talk about that. Because then you're getting into the last season of Game of Thrones. So, that's going to be big.
Big and sad.
Hopefully.
It's going to be bittersweet. So, everybody's fucking dead. I think Tyrion would probably
It's
be
the comet.
So this is sort of our conclusion. Like we said, the first part we talked about what franchises are, why they exist, yada yada yada. This one was us talking about our favorites, and sometimes we're able to articulate why. Sometimes it was just you're supposed to know. So we don't know what the next topic's going to be. That's going to be a complete surprise. It'll obviously be in the video title, so you'll know before you even listen.
We'll be surprised though.
Yes. Alright, so thank you for watching, and again, get to look forward to us talking for like 3 hours about Game of Thrones in a couple weeks, so mark your calendars. I don't even know what day that is.
Exciting stuff.
It is. It will be 1, 2, 3. It'll be the 27th. So probably
sometime after the 27th.
Probably the 28th. We should be able to get the first one uploaded because some people watch it the day after.
Not naming names, but it rhymes
Andrew.
with.
It rhymes with Pulverine. Alright, thank you for listening. I'm Wish.
I'm Paul.
I'm Zach.
I'm the guy who doesn't watch Game of Thrones a day.
And your damn brother, so. It rhymes with the Schmearing Bros.